Hi, my name is Lisbeth, and I'm going to be going over the muscles of the forearm today. So the first muscle that we have is the brachioradialis. So the brachioradialis, as you can see here, it originates on the humerus. You can see how it's attached here on the humerus, and then right here at the bottom, you can see that it's also attached to the styloid process of the radius. And then here you can see the action of how the brachioradialis flexes the elbow, and you can see the part where the movement is happening is where that styloid process of the radius is. As you can see, it's attached here to the humerus, but it's not moving, so therefore our insertion would be the styloid process of the radius. And then here is another picture, but on the human model, so you can see it. I just put a picture of it separately, like isolated, to help you better visualize the origin and insertion. Okay, so next we have the pronator teres, and the pronator teres originates on the ulna. We can see here how it's attached to the ulna, and then its insertion is on the radius. So I know it looks here like it's on the humerus. It is attached to the humerus as well, but we just need to know that's attached to the radius. So this little tiny area right here you can see is the radius. And as in the name pronator, it pronates the forearm. So pronating the forearm is when your palm is face down. So you can see here in this animation how the forearm is turning. We can see how it's turning on the radius right here, how it's turning right there. And then here on the human model, it would be located right here. Okay, next we have the flexor carpi radialis. So for the flexor carpi radialis, its origin is on the medial epicondyle of the humerus. So over here you can see that it's attached to the medial epicondyle, because this would be the medial side, and then here you can see the condyle, but it's like right above it, so it'd be the medial epicondyle. And then its insertion is on the base of the metatarsal, metacarpals, my bad. So you can see the metacarpals right here. And then on the human model, you could kind of visualize it. You could see here would be the humerus would be right here, and then down here you could see how would be the metacarpals. So you could kind of visualize it on the model as well. And for the actions, we have flex wrist and abduct wrist. So in this animation, we see how the wrist is being flexed, and in this one, we see how it's being abducted. So this being abducted, it is moving away from the body, laterally away. A way that I think of helps me think of abduction. It's kind of like alien abduction, like when somebody's being abducted by alien, you're being taken away. So that's how I think of it, moving towards that way. Okay, so next we have the palmaris longus. So the palmaris longus, its origin is on the medial epicondyle of the humerus as well. We can see here that it's right here on the medial side and like above the condyle, so medial epicondyle. And then this one, its insertion is on the palmar aponeurosis. So we see here the palmar aponeurosis, how it's attached here. I couldn't find an animation for this one, but we do know that this is the one that we can see on our hands when we flex our wrist. This is like the muscle you could see. And since this is a vestigial structure, that's why its action is flexes wrist weakly. It's not the primary mover for flexing your wrist. We have other muscles that better flex your wrist. This is a vestigial structure. It's not necessary anymore like how it was back then. And then here on the human model, we could see how it's attached to the palmar aponeurosis, and then here it would be attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus. Okay, next we have the flexor carpi ulnaris. So flexor carpi ulnaris is also, its origin is on the medial epicondyle of the humerus. For pretty much the flexors, all of their origins is on the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and its insertion would be on the base of metacarpal 5. So it would be on the pinky. We know the pinky is metacarpal 5. Where, well, the area would be like the pinky. As you can see here, it goes right there, so that'd be metacarpal 5. I put 2 pictures to kind of better see in the model, since here you can see it kind of like at an angle. It would be right here, and if you're looking at it from this view, you could see it right there, how it goes right here from what would be like the medial epicondyle of the humerus here to the base of the metacarpal. You could better see here like the origin and insertion on the model, and then here you could just better see the muscle next to the rest of the flexor muscles. And then its action would be flexing the wrist. So here we see it flexing the wrist, and then here we see it adduct, so it's moving medially towards the body in this scenario. Okay, next we have the flexor digitorum superficialis. So for this one, you can't find it on the human model that we have in class, but you could see it in the picture that's in the book. So it's deep to all the 4 flexor muscles, so that's why I like outlined here that it would be underneath all of this. And if you were to cut all these muscles and reveal the muscle underneath, you would see this flexor digitorum superficialis underneath. And then here in this isolated picture, you can see that it's attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus. So right here would be the origin. Then the insertion would be the middle phalanges of digits, because we know that this flexes our fingers, so therefore our insertion would be right here. And you can visually see that. And then in the picture, you can also see how it's connected to all of the phalanges. It all goes connected like that together, and then you can also see how it'd be attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus. So next we have the extensor muscle. So we have extensor carpi radialis. So these are 2 muscles, but we're just knowing them as radialis, so that's why you see 2 on this side and 2 on this side. So for this one, you can see that its origin is the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. This time it's now on the lateral side. And we can see that its insertion would be the base of metacarpal 2 right here. And you could see it here too, like the medial epicondyle would be right here, and then we can see how this goes to, well, you can't really see it from this angle. It would go to metacarpal 2. And the extensor carpi radialis, its action is being able to abduct your wrist. So when abduct, it would be moving laterally away from your body. Again, remember alien abduction. And then extend wrist, as we can see here, she is stretching and she has her wrist and she's extending them to stretch her wrist. So that is another action. So next we have the extensor digitorum. So the extensor digitorum is on the posterior side of the human body, and we could see that the origin is the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. So we see here that it's right there, and then the insertion would be the distal phalanges of fingers. We see how it's connected to all of the phalanges. It's connected specifically to all the distal ones. You see how it goes all the way down. And if you were seeing the human model, we could see again, you could kind of make an inference that here would be like the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. And then here would be, you could see how it would go to the distal phalanges, like that. So then our action would be extend fingers, since posterior usually is extension, and all the other ones we went before were anterior or flexion, so this is extension in the back. And then we have the extensor carpi ulnaris. So extensor carpi ulnaris, the origin we see is the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. So as you can tell, the flexor muscles are all on the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and the extensor ones are all on the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, are the origins for extensors. So that's like a good way to go by it, because the flexor muscles, since they are located more medial to your body because of the anterior position, it'd be attached to the medial of the condyle humerus for extension muscles, and then for extension be is more posterior to your body, it'd be to the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. So we can see here that's attached to the lateral epicondyle of the humerus right there, and that it goes down to the base of metacarpal 5. And the action for this one is to extend your wrist. So like we saw in the slide right here, you'd be able to extend your wrist like this with that muscle, and you'd also be able to adduct your wrist, which you'd be able to move it medially towards your body. And here we can see it on the model. You would be able to see that this would be the lateral epicondyle would be kind of right here, and then you can make the inference that it goes to the metacarpal 5 right here. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much.